You can really feel the season changing with the rainy days and frosty nights now. There's been a few windy nights too, and the forest seems quieter now. There's not as many birds, and I think most of the migrators are gone south. The loons only have a week or two left to get off the lakes as the freeze up is coming. They need a long runway to be able to fly off the lakes. They have to get off the lakes or the ice will lock them in and they'll perish. We've had a cold snap and the wood stove has got a real appetite lately, but I'm still keeping the size of wood in the stove fairly small. It gives the right amount of heat, but burns pretty fast too. The larger wood will be perfect for when winter actually hits. I told Maureen I'd be back at the homestead upon seeing the first snowfall. It could be any day soon, or even several weeks from now. I'm really settled into the daily routine here at the off-grid cabin. There's no electricity, no running water, no TV, no internet, no noise, and no BS to deal with. I sure do find myself missing Maureen. She's usually right beside me on my adventures. If I've been the left hand, she's been the right hand. She's keeping the homestead now, keeping her going, holding down the fort. In anticipation of getting things resupplied, I decided to get another chore done and fashion up a do-it-yourself cooler. Maureen noticed that the cupboard in the cabin stayed pretty cool on those warm days, even when the cabin was warm. Anyway, so I thought we could turn it into a cooler and help keep our perishables from perishing. Well, it's resupply day, and every time I reach for my backpack, I think back to our adventure in Morocco, North Africa. It was the first time I'd visited the ocean side and the Sahara Desert, the Rift Mountains, and the Greater Atlas Mountains as well. I remember convincing a reluctant Marine to step out onto the edge of an overhanging boulder that sat precariously on the edge of a cliff with a drop of about 500 feet below. We were young and daring, with a good measure of foolishness. When I'm hiking through the forest on my property and see a widowmaker, I usually just take note of it and then I steer clear of it and let the next windstorm take it down. But this one, it's right above the main trail to the cabin and it's got to be removed as soon as possible. Since it was getting late in the day, I wanted to get right back to the cabin after resupplying, as it looked like a storm was brewing. Having told my son about the widowmaker, he said he'd get right to removing that hazardous tree. There's been many wives who have had to be told their husband has had an accident in the forest which was fatal after a tree branch fell from a tree that he was working under or hiking under. That branch, which is precariously hanging there, waiting to fall at the slightest breeze, is known as a widowmaker. Now this tree is dying and it needs to go. We'll be sure to use the wood and salvage what we can by milling it into boards, and the rest will make good firewood. If you want to see the milling of the log into planks and boards, visit my son's YouTube channel, Chainsaws and Chisels. The link is in the description. There's a few other trees that also needed to come down, and they'll provide some good wood for milling and some of next year's firewood too. Another job to do. Father and son working together. There's very few rules here in the unorganized township of Ontario that we live in. It's a different mindset with different rules. The rules are the power of nature. That's what takes a dominant role in how one fares out here in this neck of the woods. Yes, we have roads and we have a vehicle to go get groceries and supplies and such, but we plan accordingly and try to stock up. It's a different day-to-day lifestyle. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's definitely not for everyone. Thank goodness. It's the quietness and the quality of life, the freedom and privacy of space. We see and feel the impact that the seasons deliver. We may be a little more vulnerable to the rain and wind and snow and the elements, but it also means that we have to be tuned in to upcoming weather. Why does it matter? Well, it helps us plan when to work out in the garden or the woods, and when to go out in the canoe and to record, and when to be on the trail, and when to be indoors doing indoor jobs. Okay, so I hit 70 years old. 70 years young. They say you get wiser as you get more elderly and you get more respect and all that, but sometimes getting older can be a bit of a downer. Here I am on my own 40 acres in the remote wilderness, and the wife and family doesn't like me walking around on a hot summer day in my boxers. That's outside. It's my property, right? So while I do tend to wander down in the main road to check the creek levels now and then, but, well, not many cars go by, and they're mostly locals anyway, so they're probably used to seeing old guys wandering around, and they probably just shake their heads and smile. Well, this is part 4 of our series. Stay tuned for the next one. For Maureen, I'm Glenn. Over and out, and take care.